Hello, Get Better Faster Nation. I am Dr. Jason Bradley, and along with my co-host, the one and the only James Chester, and our incredible executive producer, Rachel Bradley, we want to welcome you to another exciting episode of the Get Better Faster podcast. Today, we're joined by my friend, Courtney Sutherland, a remarkable yoga therapist who has transformed her own life challenges into powerful healing tools for others. In addition to being a certified yoga teacher, Courtney holds an 800 plus hour certification from the International Association of Yoga Therapists. After practicing yoga since 1998, she's weathered some incredible storms: early menopause, job loss, serious injury, divorce, and the pandemic. And she's emerged stronger, now dedicated to helping other women and at least one man navigate their own transitions and transformations. Without further ado, Courtney, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I'm honored to be able to talk about how much of an awesome practice yoga therapy is.
Yeah, and I'm just getting to know you, so there's going to be a lot of new questions for me about what you're up to. But I will tell you to frame this up before we get too far into it. Um, I've been doing yoga every day for the past 90 days. So just a little acknowledgement to the work that you're doing, and you have 500 and 1,000-hour things going on. So I'll ask you more about that as we get into this, but you've been practicing since 98, it sounds like.
I have. I started at a Gold's Gym in Decatur, Illinois, sometime after I graduated college. I like to joke about how I started practicing yoga in the 90s because I think that makes me sound very wise. But it was more off than on for a while. But I really started to dive deeply into it when I moved to Colorado. And I realized that yoga is really, really good for my mental health. And that's where I became really sold on the practice.
And Dr. Jason mentioned during the intro piece there, early menopause, injury, divorce, pandemic, whatever we want to call that thing that we all just went through. When did you know that yoga therapy wasn't just something you practice, but something you could help people get better faster with?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the mental health side of it is where I got hooked on yoga. I came into my deeper practice of yoga because I was dealing with a pretty challenging depression after moving away from home out to Colorado, and just that huge shakeup was really challenging for me. And I went to therapy and had to get on some medication. And then finally, with the medication, I started realizing that there was some hope in my life. And I remember one day I was like, well, if money were no object and you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? And I actually heard a voice. I've never had that experience before, and it said yoga. So I quit my corporate job and enrolled in a yoga teacher training. And within 6 months, I was off the medication, and I found a huge community of like-minded people. I ended up starting to teach at the end of 2007. By February of 2008, I was an assistant manager for a yoga studio. And so just dove into being a full-time yoga teacher and manager. And I really just noticed how much the yoga posture practice and breath can help. And then I just kept studying about it more and more and more, and learning more, and seeing how every time I learned a new practice or a new tool, that it would help me or it would help someone around me. So I would say in 2007 is when I really started noticing the positive effects of yoga on myself and then on others as well. And it started just as a physical practice for me. I really, it took some time to get more interested in meditation, to get more interested in some of the other levels of yoga. But over time, it just became the thing I went to anytime I was dealing with any challenges in my life.
I think that's super interesting. I'm reminded of Baron Baptiste, who's well-known yogi, and I was listening to a lecture of his or reading something, but he said something like this. He was having this emotional and spiritual block. He was just really struggling. And and he's trying to meditate through it and do all the stuff, like all the stuff. And he said he felt so frustrated because here he is, this yoga master that people come to from all around the world, and he has this spiritual, emotional, mental block that he can't get through no matter how hard he's meditating, which is kind of funny. It's probably not the words that he said, but I think that we all get the idea, right? He was meditating hard. And he said at one point he just got really frustrated and he threw himself into the physicality of his yoga practice. He basically put it into the mat. And that's when he abandoned the connection of working it out and thinking through it, and put himself into his body, right? That really the mind and the spirit opened up. And this is when he got the idea that we talk about, body, mind, spirit all the time, that really you can intersect all three at any one of those points, which is, and some of them are going to be more accessible than others. And I just find that whole thing very fascinating, because I'm hearing the same thing from you, saying, man, I was going through this time in my life and I really thrust myself into yoga, and then I got it. Then I got the mental aspects of it. And I think it's such an interesting, epiphany. That said, I wanted to take that even a bit further with helping people. The way that you and I met is that you helped me. My, far better half, our executive producer, the true brains and beauty of the operation. Come on, look at James and I, right? The reality is, she met you down at Anahata, and she came back home and she's like, you've got to work with Courtney. And let me give some context for our listeners. Last year, this is not a poor me story, it's just context. My dad died in February. My brother died in June. We had a lot of change. A lot of changes, a lot of stuff. And I was having some issues, figuring it out and sorting it out in my head. It was a lot. And anyway, Rachel came home and she's like, you got to work with Courtney. And I'm like, all right, and I listened to my wife. She knows me. She knew you. She's like, you got to connect to see if it's a good fit. And as I'm getting into knowing, learning about you and connecting with you, I realize a couple of things. Number one, I learned very quickly that throwing ourselves into that physical practice, but at the same time, some consciousness and breath. And the whole, kind of the package, it's amazing, the transformation. I'm living proof of it. We'll get more into that. But also I realized I'm the only male, at least at that time, that you'd ever worked with. Is that correct with the grief guidance, the grief yoga? Am I right?
Yes, you're the only man that I've worked with yoga therapy for grief.
Yeah.
I have done some cancer care with another man, but
Okay.
most of my clients are women.
Yeah. And I felt very honored to be in this sacred space and that you created that container for me. And I really appreciate that, because it was transformative. And again, we'll dive more into it. But I'm a different human being because of what I learned working with you. I just want to say that. And I don't say that lightly. So James, I knew had some questions too. I want to dive into grief yoga, but James, I'll pass it back to you.
Well, I've done a lot of this stuff, and I love the full body integration. And when we don't take a part of our body and separate it, because I think a lot of the things that people are feeling, whether it's stress or anxiety, it's out of their body, and then they integrate it, and it becomes an energetic block, or it becomes a disconnect with function. They become dysfunctional. And I always believe people, most of the time, they just need a checkup from the neck up. And it's not so much what's not going right with the body. It's the one thing that might not be going well with the body. When you're doing your type of care with people, how do you determine the best type? Because Jason's talking about, I'm the only dude you helped with grief, or I've helped some people with cancer. How do you find that the best method for yoga? Because I practice, but I wouldn't say, hey, do this type of practice if you're dealing with a breakup, or do this type of practice if you're dealing with financial struggles. Um, how do you pick the specific type of practice that you're going to integrate with somebody?
I mean, really just through listening to the person and hearing what they feel is missing. I always start with what my client thinks is best. I mean, we're so wise. We're so wise. We just have to learn how to listen to what we really need and want. And so my job is to listen. And then
Mhm.
I kind of think about it like this. I Out of the decades that I've been studying yoga and practicing yoga, I have learned about a lot of different tools and practices and ideas from yoga and Ayurvedic traditions. And I have this whole tool shed full of all of these ideas. And so a client comes to me and they present what they're dealing with and what their goals are for getting through it. Do they want to find peace with it? Do they want to fix it? Do they, whatever it is? And I think about my tool shed and I go and grab the screwdriver that I think might work best. And we try that for a minute and maybe it doesn't work. I should do the flathead instead of the Phillips head. It really is a trial and error. It's a lot of listening to the person. I mean, I think my own intuition comes into it a little bit too, not in a woo woo way, but just in a way like, oh, they're saying that. That reminds me of this one thing I did that seemed to help me in something similar to that. And then I'll try that. So it's a lot of trial and error, but mainly it's just really hearing, really listening and hearing to what the person is saying and to what their body is saying in front of me.
Mhm.
And I also wanted to say, you mentioned the disconnect, and I would say that that is the number one reason why people are unwell. It's because they're disconnected from their body and from their mind, and they're disconnected from their emotions. They just don't even understand where they are in the current moment.
Mhm.
And maybe you guys have heard this quote. I
Mhm.
can't even say it specifically. I don't even know where exactly it comes from. But there is something about the the word healing, if you go back to its roots, means to make whole.
Mm.
And I can't remember, so
Yeah.
forgive me, I can't remember where I've heard that, but more than one of my teachers have said that. And if I were to sum up what yoga therapy is in one phrase, it would be helping people become whole.
Yeah. It's
So
interesting. Yeah, I fact checked myself before I said it out loud. I think that healing comes from this idea of this word "hale." I don't know if I'm saying it right, Hale, which I didn't know where it was from, but it's the old English word for whole. But that's where we get it. Yeah, so that's what healing means, is to make whole again. That's a really cool. I really like that. That's beautiful. I hadn't thought about
Can
it.
can I ask another fundamental question?
please.
So you help people, which we're coming to terms with. And what do you do with people that give you pushback and say, "I'm not flexible. Why would I do that thing? That's weird. That's not real." Like, what do you tell people that are really like give you pushback about doing the work?
I haven't had a lot of that. I think part of it is because I can't do everything either. I'm not a yoga practitioner that you'll see in handstand over in the corner or just hanging out in splits like it's another Sunday afternoon. My body is I have to use different variations to meet the needs of my body as well.
Mm,
And I really try to take the pressure off of doing it all. And I instead try to find variations of what I think might help so that it is more accessible. And I also just try to communicate that if this doesn't work, we'll try something else, but at
mhm.
least give it a try.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just curious because I'm sure some people like, uh-uh.
Well, yeah, I mean, for yoga classes, sure. Like, I always just say you have to find your right teacher. You have to find your right style of yoga. There is a different style of yoga for every person. Not everybody is going to do great in the hot yoga 26-2, like the Bikram style. Not everyone is going to do great in a vinyasa. Some people won't like restorative yoga. Some people need a chair. It's really about finding the one that works for you. And I also just give some grace around that not everybody is interested in yoga, and they'll just have to find their own thing somewhere else. I know that what I offer isn't for everybody. And I really am only interested in working with people who are interested in what I offer, because those are the people that are going to do the work, that are going to stay dedicated to it. I mean, it's an investment of time and money. And if the person isn't interested, then I'm not the right person to go to for it.
And yes, and amen to all of that, right? So it's funny, Rachel said that hot yoga was not for her. And I loved it. You know, we had a membership at Hot House, or is that what it is? Hot House Yoga for a little while. And I loved that place, but it just wasn't Rachel's bag. And I didn't like doing it without her, so it wasn't as fun. But anyway, speaking of hot yoga and literally like never judge a book by the cover and what they may or may not go for. So way back when, I'm talking like 25 years ago, I got invited to go to a hot yoga, a Bikram style, and I'm by no means a yogi. So this, anyway, it was what it was. But I was telling, I had a patient this early in my career. I had a patient in, and her husband was with him and with her. And I said, "Hey, I'm going to go." And this guy's name was Tim. And so Tim's like, "Hey, I might stick around, or I might go down there with you for that." So Tim's like, at this point, like 45 years old. And he's like, really, I mean this out of love, like a real average guy, like average looking guy. And by that, I mean body build, like everything was really like, not real athletic, but not like horribly overweight. You know what I mean? Just like a regular guy, just like me, a regular guy. So we show up and later for the class, and I've got whatever I'm wearing on, my shorts, my whatever you'd wear to hot yoga, right? Tim shows up in jeans with a flannel shirt tucked in and a belt and boots, and he takes his work boots off and he does the whole hot yoga in this like work outfit, and he's sweating. And anyway, long story short, Tim loves it, and he shows back up the next week. But here's the thing, in his work outfit again. And I figure, I didn't ever say anything, but like, I figured that it's like, maybe he doesn't have time to come. Like maybe he's just getting off work and getting to yoga. Nobody cared. Like nobody in that place gave a crap. But in the back, there's like all these people that, traditional yogi people that are in this class, like looking the way that you'd expect people to look in hot yoga. And then there's me and Tim in the back, like grunting and moaning and not flexible. But we loved it. Anyway, so I think to each their own on that. And I love find what works for you and grab a hold of it and do it. So what I want to do though, is just move this conversation just a little away from stretching and breathing. And I think that when I think about yoga, well, before I met and worked with you, when I think about yoga, that's what I'm thinking of. It's what you see on TV and the magazines. I mean, it's that. And I'm not saying that working with you is not also like that. The however is, I want to walk through what yoga therapy is, because it's a lot more than just stretching and breathing. So I just want to talk about the difference between yoga therapy and then the grief therapy and then a regular yoga class. Can you walk us through that?
Sure. So yoga therapy, so a yoga class is generally just like anybody can come to class. The teacher is teaching whoever is in front of them. They have a class plan, but it's not individualized to the people in front of them. I mean, it might be a themed class like yoga for athletes or something like that, but it's really just for a general public. And it's generally, at a studio or a rec center, and it's usually pretty focused on the physical aspects of it.
So something like yoga for middle-aged, inflexible dudes.
I'm sure it exists.
Would be a class, right?
I'm sure it exists. In fact, I studied with Darren Main once, and I think he had a men's yoga class for that type of a market in San Francisco back in the day. I don't know if he's still doing it. But yeah, so yoga classes are really just focused on the postures. There might be a little meditation in there. There might be a little bit of breath work in there, but it's really just here's the poses, let's do it together. And you go home and you forget about it for the day. So I like to explain yoga therapy as like if I were to put in just a little box for people to try and understand what it is. It's like if you take a life coach, a physical therapy therapist, and a talk therapist, and you marry them all together and you have them help you through the lens of yoga. And yoga is way more than just the postures and way more than just the breath work or pranayama. And it's way more than meditation. It also, believe it or not, includes lifestyle things like how you treat other people. Do not harm, do not lie, do not steal. And also how you treat yourself. Be clean, practice moderation. And there are several different ones and all of that. So yoga is such a broad, just a broad umbrella of different things. And several of my teachers say yoga is the science of life. And it's really how you live your life. It's how you treat your body. It's how you treat your mind. And I would say the ultimate goal of yoga is to still your mind. So you're not like dragged here and there and everywhere by your thoughts. But in order to get your mind still, your body needs to be comfortable. You have to be right with how you treat other people. Because if you're not nice to people, like you're going to have some mental responses to that. If you treat yourself wrong, you're going to have some mental responses to that. And so it's really hard to still your mind if all of these other things are not coming into play.
It's really interesting. And I think that, being still is just the idea of being still is so hard for me. And I think for a lot of our listeners, because we're in a go, go, go society with dopamine hits every, 28 seconds from, whatever this tracking device that I carry around in my pocket is, I'm pretty sure tracking what I mean by that. So the conspiracy people don't think I'm being weird. I think they're tracking my things I want to buy and trying to sell things to me. Now, there might be some other social engineering going on, but I'm pretty sure it's after my money. But at any rate,
and they're just curious where you are 24 hours a day.
I'm just curious where I happen to be. I'm at the mall again. I mean, I got to get another hat, So
they're just curious where you're at.
Just curious, But nonetheless, being still is hard. It's super hard. And our really good friend, Dr. Sachin Patel, he always says PTC, present time consciousness. Present time consciousness. And I know that when I was working with you, you always brought me into the moment. And I love especially with grief yoga, and I'm struggling with a lot. We don't need to make a counseling session out of this, but it's heavy. And I liked your approach that was like, I don't know how you'd say it. You word things so well, but it was like, if you're comfortable with, this and that, you can try this out. And then you have me try it out. And you're like, how does that feel? And just the feedback. What's your body telling you? And just different things that we would do where you really brought me into the moment of being in my body, which for the uninitiated can be its own source of confrontation of the self, right? Because it's confronting my emotions, right? And I mean, why I'm there, it's grief yoga, it's grief yoga therapy. So there's that, but it's also confronting my body and the pain in my body and the trauma, my physical trauma, my emotional trauma. I mean, it's a lot to be in the present moment, which is, I think, why a lot of us, myself probably included, escape into depression in the past or anxiety about the future or looking at my dopamine hit in front of me and the screens or drinking this or smoking this or whatever, eating this or whatever it happens to be, to keep us out of this being in this moment, in my body, in my head right now. And I just want to go there and say, whatever you did with me was magic, because I was not, you knew I wasn't comfortable. I mean, I mean, not with you, I was very comfortable, but I'm saying being in my body, I had I would tell you things like, I'm fighting you on this. I'm not. And you're like, no, you're doing great.
That's why I asked that question.
Yeah. Right. Walk me through like, what's your magic sauce with that? Because it's unlike, I guess, let me share this before I ask this. I'm going to plant the seed. What's your magic sauce? Because I have gone to a lot of yoga. I've been doing a lot of yoga in my life. You wouldn't know it by how inflexible I am, but I actually do this stuff. Not every single day, but I'm pretty regular with it in my life, in some regular motion. In fact, at one point, I inherited, and I'll explain, a yoga studio. I owned a yoga studio for a little while, and I not a yoga teacher or anything. What happened was I owned a building, and our third floor tenant, where there was a yoga studio, abandoned, just left town. I still don't know what happened to him. And he left a yoga studio and a bunch of yoga instructors who didn't, they were like, what do we do? And I'm like, I'll just own the studio and you guys can just work there and we'll just do a rev share. And it worked great. But nonetheless, I've been around a lot of yoga. I've done a lot of different types of yoga, but whatever you did with me in my head and getting me into present time consciousness so that I could explore those things in real time with you, and then homework. Tell me about your magic sauce, because I've never seen anything like it all around the world that I've done yoga. Tell me about it.
I just try to be present for the person in front of me. And I listen to what they're saying and I watch what they're doing. So Jason, I hope it's okay if I share this, but
Please do. I'm an open book. You
would come in sometimes and I could tell you were hyped up. And I was like, he is not going into meditation right now. Like that's not, he can't go from there to there. And so
I can't imagine me being hyped up. What are you talking about?
So I mean, but not every time. Sometimes you came in more grounded, and I just would know that on those days we better start standing up. We better start with some more flowy movement, and then slow down incrementally. So it really is. It's my job to figure out where you are.
Wow.
And to help you get to calm and balance.
Wow.
And so every time somebody comes in front of me, I'm trying to figure out where they are. So whether that's by questioning that, whether that's just by my own like ability to feel it off of people, or just the physical cues that the person is giving me. It's a whole bunch of things, and it can be all of it or none of it, or one thing or two. But I'm just trying to figure out where the person in front of me is, so I can help them get where they want to be.
That's beautiful.
And it's important for the first session to make sure that you know what their goals are. I might want them to be calm, but they might be searching for more energy in their life. So I would, make decisions based on that.
Another reason I asked the question of people's resistance, because we don't know what somebody else is experiencing in their body. Even though we want them to do something, they're like, not today. And they might be ramped up and want to run around in circles like Dr. Jason, or they might be reluctant because of whatever injury or something, which I'll get into a little bit later with you, and how people recover from injuries with yoga therapy. But I'm more interested in your target audience is women, right?
Yes.
And you've seen a lot of women go through major life transitions. Yes.
Yes.
The conventional medical system is missing or failing some things. What do you see the most? What do you see big box medicine missing with these women that you're helping with yoga therapy?
I think medicine has a place. I think what happens is that it's compartmentalized, and we are whole people. We aren't just our sore throat to go to the throat doctor, and our sore knee go to physical therapy, and our cancer diagnosis go to the cancer doctor. My words aren't coming to me right now. We are a whole person. Thank you. We are a whole person. And I think it's hard with medical specialties to get a whole package deal on someone. What I do does not replace medicine. It is a supplement for medicine. And it is a way of helping people connect all the parts of themselves together and to be self-aware and know where I am right now and how these things connect.
Well, what if there was no medicine? What if people just did what you do?
Yeah.
Would they self-correct?
I don't know the answer to that. I what I can say
Wow.
is that the more connected that you are with yourself and the more you treat yourself well, the better you're going to feel.
Mm-hmm.
I would never say that yoga therapy would cure cancer. Like I don't know, but maybe it would. I don't know, but I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that I have that in me. But what I will say is that if you do yoga therapy, you will feel more connected with yourself. And through that connection with yourself, you will be able to make yourself feel better.
Mm.
Maybe in the moment. And that's all that matters. Like the moment is what matters. And so, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question at all, but that's what I feel when you ask me from my gut.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's misconceptions out there as to like what yoga is. Most people think that you go to, the big box athletic store and you buy a mat, you put it in a corner in your house, and every once in a while you take it to a class. But you've immersed yourself in this. Like this has become that aha moment that you had that you told us about earlier. Like, yep, I'm quitting corporate, I'm going yoga.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really eye-opening and maybe heart-opening, as yoga people would say, for the audience to hear your message about how it helps people and the misconceptions around it.
Mm-hmm.
What are some misconceptions that people might have about yoga therapy and yoga?
I think there are some misconceptions that, for instance, you have to have a yoga body, that there's a specific weight or shape or flexibility that you have to have in order to do yoga. Anybody can do yoga. There are quadriplegics who do yoga. Yoga is way more than just the postures. I think another myth, and this is just me being a little jokester, you don't have to have a yoga mat to do yoga. You also do not
Right
have
on the
to,
concrete, baby.
you totally could. You can do yoga in on a chair. Like you don't have to have a yoga space to do yoga. You can do yoga literally anywhere because it's not the postures. It's all of it. And I think the I wouldn't say it's a misconception. I would just say that people don't know what yoga therapy is. They haven't heard of it. They don't even know that it exists. And pair that with not knowing what yoga is, there's a big problem for me being able to tell people what I do because a lot of people have not heard of it.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of there for people to take in when it comes to giving identity to what you're doing. I think shows like this will help travel that message to more people, and I think a lot of people will really benefit from it. And I do think it's a lifetime of work and achievement that you're on, and I think there's many people that are going to be even more open to trying yoga. What's your message to somebody that's like, damn it, I I don't know what she's doing, but I'm sure as hell not going to go to a yoga class. What would you tell those people?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go to a yoga class. You can, I mean, find a book. Find a book on yoga that you're interested in reading, that the cover looks cool or the back page looks awesome, like they speak your language. There are tons of people who do yoga online that you can pay,
Oh yeah.
to take online classes or what. You don't have to go to a class. Um, I work with people. I do private sessions with people, and we can do that online. So it doesn't have to be in person. If you're in the Iowa City, Coralville, Cedar Rapids area, we can also do it in person. But yeah, I would say find the parts of yoga that interest you. Are you interested in meditation? Are you interested in the breath work? Are you interested in the chanting and the mantra? Are you interested in the postures? Like whatever it is, and then just start to go down that rabbit hole. You'll find it. It's out there.
I think
Google will tell you.
there's like with the internet, I mean, there's so many options, right? I mean, from, like you said, some folks that have some good, videos that are out there. And then also people that want to work, one-on-one, either with you, in person or even online. When I, like way back when, 1999, when I moved to the area here and opened my first clinic, I met a couple of young yogis who had just also launched their yoga studio, or yoga, I guess, studio. Michael and Adrian, and I love these guys. It was kind of one of my first, probably ongoing commitments to yoga, working with these guys. And again, I should also give context here. My first doctorate degree is in chiropractic, so I was a young doctor of chiropractic. And chatting with these guys, Adrian one day said something that was super offensive to me. And James, it's going to super offend you too. She said, I love chiropractic, but I just wonder if people did yoga from early on in their lives, if they would, quote, need chiropractic. And I was like, that's not the way it works. And I had all my feathers, ruffled. But, after some time, I'm not saying she's right or wrong. I mean, I think though everybody in the world could benefit from some chiropractic work, but I understand what she means. I mean, I get the idea, but I think chiropractic, like yoga, is so much bigger than just the structures that we're working within. So I think there's a lot of parallels here. The other thing that I think parallels chiropractic, there's a whole lot, I mean, namaste, I salute the light within you. I mean, just the word subluxation, when someone is subluxated, they're less than light in the chiropractic world. So, I mean, there's this whole, idea, the idea of the innate intelligence within you. That's part of the universal. It's beautiful. Also, I've heard, people, really smart people like James, say things like, hey, guess what? You don't even have to believe in chiropractic. It just works anyway, and I think yoga is kind of the same way. It's kind of like, if you do it, I mean, when you find there's lots of chiropractic techniques, right? There's lots of yoga techniques. I'm telling you, these professions are very, very parallel professions. And I bring this up because, like chiropractic, yoga, so chiropractic, I don't know how to say this, but there seems to be two branches of chiropractic, and I'm really going to debase this, but there's like a philosophically based chiropractic, and then there's I'm only gonna deal with the structure, people. And there's middle roads. I wonder if in yoga you see that as well. I wonder if you see, hey, we're looking at this big thing, and there's other people's like, yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. I'm not going to acknowledge it. I'm gonna turn my back to it, and I'm just going to let's just do vinyasa flow all day. I mean, let's just do that. I'm just wondering, do you see that in the yoga world?
Oh, sure. I mean, especially in mainstream yoga studios, some people are just there for the workout, and that's fine. I say, however far you want to dip your toe in is perfect. If all you want to do are the yoga poses, great, you're going to benefit.
Yeah. What about the instructors, I guess is what I meant. Would you say they're okay? Interesting. Because I had this idea in my head.
I think there's a pendulum. I think there's a spectrum of, even yoga teachers who just only want to deal with the postures. I haven't run into many of those here, but yeah, I'm sure.
I have this idea that every yoga instructor is like a spiritual guru. 100% of yoga instructors are spiritual gurus. That's where
we're all doing it because we're nuts. Right. And it's the only way that we can keep grounded. Right. No, I mean, kind of, but yeah, no, I mean,
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. Our younger daughter is in Utah right now, and she's just, I mean, she's doing great. It's her first apartment. She moved, they're doing great. I'm so proud of her. She called this morning and she's just like, Dad, I just feel like I'm rotting. Like I need more human contact. And I'm like, you know what you should do? I'm like, what are you doing today? And she's like, nothing. I'm like, going to town and find a yoga studio. Like find one that you vibe with, find one that the people are nice. I'm like, and then just join it and hang out there, and so I'm encouraging her to find her, get her feet back down and all that too. So thank you, James. I know you had some stuff to jump in on.
Well, it's back to the original question that I asked about medicine and yoga. And yoga is lifestyle medicine, and chiropractic is lifestyle medicine. And it's very paralleled, like Dr. Jason was saying. And I think when people understand that the method is, like you said, as far as you'll take it. And I just think, based on what Jason's explaining about his daughter feeling disconnected from community and self, that those were my early questions. How do you get people the encouragement to just say, this is for me? Like, this is okay. Like, I'll go to a
Mhm.
class, or I'll watch a YouTube video, or maybe I need yoga therapy. And damn it, I'm not flexible, but I'm going to go do yoga in my work clothes.
Yes.
Whatever it might be. I just think that there's a solution for people to understand that. And going back to Jason's question about the yoga instructor, about if somebody did yoga their whole life, like would they need chiropractic? I mean, the guy that founded Pilates, Joseph Pilates, he said that you're only as healthy as your spine. And I know that Pilates isn't yoga and Pilates isn't chiropractic, but if you think about all of them in collaboration, you're only as healthy as your spine. So if you're going through chiropractic care, yeah, you could probably benefit from some damn yoga. And if you're going through some yoga therapy, yeah, you could probably benefit from some chiropractic. And the cool thing is that they can intertwine with each other. They can cross over to each other, and they can support people from a neurological perspective, from a mental perspective, from a physical perspective. And I think that when people think it's one or the other, like I met this guy this past weekend, I was trying to get him into chiropractic. He's like, "Nah, dude, I do yoga." And I'm just thinking how much of the world this guy is missing, and how locked into his dogma that he's funneled himself into, that he's like looking through, he's just not looking through a positive lens, even though he's doing something. And I just think that this conversation today, whether it be Jason's daughter, or whether it be you, or whether it be the women that aren't being, you know, treated well through the medical system, that I think, these are my projections. Um, there's something in what you're doing that is helping people. And that's really the gift of saying, this is for me. Now, I guess that interaction there, explaining Cairo versus, yoga, I think that everybody should get their spine x-rayed. And I think everybody should have more flexibility. And I think they should have healthier joints. And I think they should learn body regulation. But can you just give me the distinction? I know I'm going a whole different layer between like the certifications on what gives you the ability to help these people for this lifestyle medicine, what I'm calling yoga today. What are the different certifications, and how do people understand them, and how to find somebody like you?
Sure. So yoga teachers start with a 200-hour certification. And that just means their scope of practice is to lead a yoga class with traditional yoga postures, and just a couple of, they learn a few different types of breath work, pranayama, and they might learn how to lead meditation. So that's the 200-hour. After the 200-hour, you go and you get your 500-hour through Yoga Alliance, and that's a 500-hour level yoga teacher. At the 500 level yoga teacher certification, it means they've gone just to the next level of training, so they know a little bit more about some of the other practices within yoga, like they have a more in-depth understanding of the chakra system or the energy currents in the body. They have a little bit of a deeper level understanding on some of the postures and anatomy. So that's the 500 hour. If you put an E in front of 200 or an E in front of 500, so ERYT 200 or ERYT 500, that means that you have taught at the 200-hour level a minimum of 500 classes. If you have ERYT 500, that means that you have taught a minimum of 500 classes at the ERYT 500 or the RYT 500 level. At that point, when you are an ERYT 500, then you can start training other yoga teachers. My certification is an additional 800 hours over top of those to become a yoga therapist. My training was through Inner Peace Yoga Therapy, and we do a core like 500 hour and then an additional 300 hour, and you take different modules that focus on different parts of yoga therapy. So there are yoga therapists who specialize in working with people who have Parkinson's disease. There are yoga therapists who specialize in the cancer care continuum. There are yoga therapists that focus on scoliosis. There are yoga therapists that, I mean, you name it, there are yoga therapists that specialize in those things. As part of my training, we were able to do clinicals in certain modules that we chose. And so I did yoga therapy modules and functional yoga therapy. Everybody has to do that one. Functional yoga therapy, which looks a lot like physical therapy. I did the cancer care continuum. I did end of life care. I did yoga therapy for grief. I did Ayurvedic yoga therapy. And I can't remember the other two, but I did two more. We had to do 7. And so you kind of dive in and get mentored support through your work with clients for the additional 500 hours.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because really what that does is builds the case to say that you're very much a specialist in what you do.
Yes.
And you have something really unique that you offer to people, and that you've done a lot of studying and work. Do they also have you read like a lot of books as you go through these trainings, not just doing classes and teaching?
I read I'm a reader. I love books. So if you tell me that I should read a book, probably I'm going to read it. So I read all the books that my teachers recommended. Only a couple of them were required reading.
Because I know early on you were like, if you want to learn something, go find a book on it.
Yeah, I know. That's the first place I look.
Well, and it's interesting too, just from a support point of view. I mean, when I was working with you privately, the resources that you would provide, not only that you would create, but you were sourcing from books and take a look at this. I mean, it was very interesting. I think one rapid fire question, and then that's supposed to be silly, but I'm gonna let you talk about it. And then one that I think is a little bit more serious, but we'll take it. So the first one is, oh no, wait. Yeah, the first one is, and then okay, I had to get my thoughts in order.
Okay.
Do we need to learn Sanskrit to practice yoga?
Heck no. I mean, Sanskrit is really cool. It's a vibrational language. They show that the vibrations that come out are associated with different parts of the body. It's cool. But I don't know Sanskrit.
Yeah.
I rarely use Sanskrit.
Because I say things like legs up the wall pose and cat cow and things like this that I can comprehend with my very limited amount of English that I know as well.
There are some teachers who teach only in Sanskrit, and I love that for them.
Yeah.
I do not, and I do not. I wouldn't probably, if you gave me a Sanskrit test right now, I probably wouldn't.
I went to a class one time. I was able to follow it, but not because of the way they wanted it to be followed. They had like a chalkboard, and they wrote all the Sanskrit like poses in the order that it was going to be done. And I was like, I don't know what any of that means. But when we'd start doing it, I'm like, oh, I got that. I know what to do there. But I'm like, why? Why make it hard? It was in Chicago. Like, I mean, nobody. Anyway, thank you.
I love it and it's cool, but
Yeah.
I don't speak it.
No, I get it. Here's the real question. And I mean this, because I, various, my own career has had its own arc to it, and I keep adding tools and resources. But one of the tools and resources that I recommend to a lot of people is go do some yoga. And I get pushback on it, but not for the reasons that anything that we've talked about. The number one, I'm going to ask Courtney, James, what do you think the number one reason is that they won't do yoga that I hear?
I'm not flexible.
Nope.
I don't have time for it.
No, it's weird because when I recommend things, like do this, don't do this, people will mostly do it unless there's some philosophical, ethical, or religious reason behind it. And they say things to me like, I can't because I'm Christian.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you mean? And I, on one level, I get it. And on another level, this needs to be discussed, because I am a man of faith. For the love of God, I'm ordained. We could, and by the way, James, if you can start calling me the good Reverend Doctor going forward, I think that will be fine. But no, for real. The question is, can people from Judeo-Christian Islamic traditions
Careful what
do
you
yoga?
ask for. Careful what you ask for.
Can people from Judeo-Christian Islamic traditions do yoga, or is it heresy?
Yoga is a science. It is not a religion. And you can integrate whatever religious faith beliefs that you have into yoga.
Because there's no gods in yoga. It's not like, in the language, there might be references to stories or whatnot. And this is kind of where it's derived from, but it's not like, oh, let's pray to fill in the blank now.
No, we have to go back to when yoga was created. Yoga in the Hindu faith grew up together. And a lot of the people who were involved and of the Hindu faith were also yogis. But yoga is not the Hindu faith. A lot of the postures are named after Hindu gods, but just because you do that shape in your body and it is named whatever it is named does not mean that you're praying to that god. It means that you're doing a shape that is named after this storybook character according to your faith. I can see how people might get scared about that because there are postures named after Hindu gods, but I'm not praying to those Hindu gods when I'm in splits pose.
Right.
That's Hanumanasana off of the monkey god. Like, I'm not praying to the monkey god when I am in splits. I can't speak a ton to this subject. It is an important one, mainly because it doesn't even come into my mind as an issue. Like, yoga is just other things. If anything, it's made me feel more strong in my own faith than it hasn't made me become a Hindu. So if you're interested, one of my friends, her name is Peyton.
I'm just kidding. That was a bad joke.
What?
I said those Hindus are always trying to trick us into turning.
I know, Trixie. Well, what I was going to say is I have a friend who she is very strong in her Christian faith, and she's doing wonderful things about removing some of that stigma out of yoga to make it more accessible to Christian people. And it's called Mending with Mindfulness. And her name is Peyton. And if you follow her on Instagram, she does a really amazing job of saying, okay, this is what it says in yoga. It does not mean this. It means this. She just translates it in a really beautiful way. I know that that's a big thing, especially here in Iowa. And it's sad because I'm not trying to make anybody believe anything other than what they believe. And there is a spiritual aspect to yoga, but it's not this is what your spirituality should be. It's like, connect with your God. Find that connection, find the divinity, the way that you connect with divinity as you explain, as you understand it.
Well,
And that's what's important.
I think what you're up against with this topic, Jason, is dogmatic propaganda.
Of course.
And I
Yeah.
think the backlash of the aftermath of this is confused people. And when you have a confused person, they don't buy anything. And
Interesting.
that's a really interesting place to get society to,
Hmm.
is they
Mm.
might start speculating the half
Mm.
truths that they've been told about other things now.
Mm.
And they might start questioning their affiliation with whatever other things are out there that they thought were good for them.
Hmm.
So I think it's just another one of those things that people get strewn into with dogmatic, oppressive ideas that don't serve anybody and just cause more issues than any good. And if people just like took care of their body, mind, and spirit, God's going to honor that. It
Mm.
doesn't matter what culture it comes from, God's going to honor that. And I think people have to come back to the basics of saying, I don't need validation. Um, it's like, if I think it's good and I say it's good, then it's good. And I think that that's a good way to think about, like, why do you choose a certain religion? Because you think it's good and it's good and it's good. And why do you choose yoga? Because the same reasons.
Yeah.
So I think that people should just be a little bit more open to saying, hey, this might be the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. Why do I want somebody else's dogmatic affiliations tell me that this isn't okay for me? So I think we just have to be a little bit more, I guess, let ourselves be curious.
It's I agree, man. I totally agree. And I think it's interesting, Courtney, that you said earlier something about, especially here in Iowa. I've noticed this from, I will say, not just Iowa, but I will say it now that I'm thinking about it, heavily, broadly Midwestern. So I'm wondering if it's like like some kind of regional enculturation where we're just like, yeah, be careful of those yoga people. They're different than us, and I don't know what it is. We are blessed to live, as Courtney mentioned, in a wonderful area where yoga is very accepted. And I mean, it's like such a great, listen, if you're going to live in Midwest, you can't beat Iowa City. I'm just going to say that. In fact, I don't know if I'd live anywhere else in the Midwest, but other than that, I find it really interesting that you said it's a Midwest phenomenon. You lived in Colorado. You didn't notice it as much out there.
No.
Interesting. That's super interesting. The other thing
Not that it didn't exist, but I live near Boulder.
Sure, same.
Like it.
Yeah, similar. Yeah, similar vibe from where we're looking at Asheville right now and Austin. We're just going to keep hopping college towns and just I don't know, hippie college towns. Okay, so jumping back, I wanted to talk really about the word medicine. That's the other thing I wanted to bring up, because again, jumping away from religion, is it a religion? You mentioned that yoga is a science. And then we got into a discussion because we all have to be so flipping careful with our language, so that, Big Brother doesn't come slamming down on us that we said something accidentally on a podcast that could be misconstrued, that people don't need to take medicine and we can do other things. I'll say that.
I would never say that.
It's not like we're saying people don't need to take medicine and do other things.
Nope, I would never say that.
Yeah.
If I wouldn't have taken medicine, I don't know if I would be here.
Yeah, Courtney would never say that, right?
I would never say that.
At any rate, I want to come back to the word medicine though, because medicine is an interesting word. I just got back from the wedding that broke the internet. I don't know if you guys have been following this or not. A few weeks ago, Marley Jacks, Steve Larson, wonderful people. But they instead of paying for a wedding, they charged for their wedding. And they ended up raising over $135,000 that they donated to build schools in Africa. So it's just a completely new way. They got in People Magazine and on, I don't know, Today Show and all kinds. It was really cool. But while we were there, there was a lot of, interesting thinking people there, outside the box thinking. But the one thing that stood out amongst the whole group was biohacking. Everything was about like literally like frequency, wavelength, um, plant medicine. I mean, it was, not just marijuana, but peyotes and ayahuascas and MDMA and I mean, not that we were doing it, just a discussion. I want to be clear, this was not happening at the wedding that broke the internet. Just a discussion about it, and a lot of very interesting people were having high level discussions about the way these things are breakthroughs in their thoughts. And I was thinking how much of a hack, a biohack yoga really is. That idea of being in that present time consciousness, but without needing a device, without needing a substance. But yet, and here's the thing, and this is the interesting thing in this group, they kept using the word medicine, like that's its medicine. And I was thinking about the word medicine because again, Courtney did not say don't take medicine, do yoga, but I do want to talk about the word medicine because I want to remove it from the ownership of our medics because it's been usurped. The word medicine actually just means something that's restorative, something that's restorative, something that's good for you. And it's interesting because I think that we can all agree whether or not things are needed. Drugs, medicines might save your life. I don't know, they're good for you. If they were good for you, shouldn't we all just be taking drugs all the time? I mean, wouldn't I just want to be on every prescription ever? I mean, I don't think they're good for you. I don't know that they're restorative. I mean, every drug that I know robs the body from nutrients, messes up hormonal cascades, neurotransmitters, the microbiomes. I mean, I could go on and on. I don't know that they're restorative, but they can be life-saving. But when I look at the word medicine and I think about the word restorative and generally good for the system, I don't know that we should call drugs medicine. I'm just going to say that. And my opinion is we need to use a different word. I don't know what word. I'm not that guy, but I'm going to take that word back from general medicine. I think that they took it. They think they knew what it meant, something restorative and good for the body, and they just applied it.
They hijacked it.
They hijacked it, right? Where really yoga is the medicine. Chiropractic is the medicine. Good food is the medicine. Good meditation is the medicine. This is the medicine we need. And the reason that we can't get the help, the medicine we need is because we keep looking in the same system that has allowed us to stay so sick for so long. And we keep asking that group of people for the medicine.
And to give us approval.
Yeah. I'm fired up now. Anyway, yeah. So I have another question. Sorry, I got off on my tangent.
I love it.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes it's a soapbox. I don't mean for it to be, but I appreciate you guys holding the space for me. Courtney, what is something, one thing, if you had to boil it down to one thing that someone could do today to start, helping their body get better faster, or not just their body, their mind, their spirit, getting better faster? What would you say? Like, how can they dip their toe into this and like commit to this for 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever it is? What's the thing they can start?
Pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention. Your body is giving you feedback all the time. You are thinking thoughts about your experiences all the time. You allow yourself to pay attention when your mind is telling you mean things about yourself. Also listen to when it's giving you cues about your experience. Just pay attention. That's number one. Number two, how are you sleeping? Figure out how to sleep. That's the number one thing that I always try to help people figure out first. You had such awesome sleep hygiene that we got to skip on to the next part. But sleep hygiene is so important, and sleep is important. And then the third thing I would say is create routines for yourself. Or at the very least, pay attention to the routines that you already have, because they'll serve as an anchor and they'll help you regulate your nervous system.
Yeah, I like that. So listen to your body, and not just your body, but your mind. Like, listen.
Just pay attention to all of it, to yourself. Yep.
Cultivate sleep, right? And sleep hygiene. And then what I heard was get into a rhythm or a routine. I mean, that our bodies like routine. Our bodies like rhythm. I mean, there's a reason that we are awake during the day and sleep during the night, because that's the way our bodies were made to be, for most people. But so it's interesting. Sleep's really interesting for me because, interestingly, back when I was working with you, I was totally okay. And now I'm having some issues again. And that's a weird way to transition to what I was going to say. So we can psychoanalyze this by saying that. But anyway, I'm not sleeping as well. I also was talking to a colleague of ours, Dr. Denham Slade, who will be on the show at some point, coming up here in the future. And he is, he's just worked on really understanding motivations and whatnot behind the scenes. And he's a psychologist and just really understanding those motivations. But it's interesting in that when we think about, cultivating sleep and listening to your body and getting into routines, I feel like I do all that and I'm still not sleeping right now. So Dr. Slade, and again, just throwing this out, what he suggests is one big things that we need to be able to sleep is safety and security. And I think that for me, safety and security, I think a lot, I'm not worried about somebody breaking into my house and harming me or Rachel or, anything. I'm not worried about things getting stolen. I'm not worried about that kind of safety or security. But I am positive now that Dr. Slade has implanted this into my head that there is an issue with safety and security going on. I don't know what it is. I got to unpack it. It'll take me a little time to unpack it. But I'm curious, when we talk about sleep and if someone's gone through all that, have you noticed a recurring theme with people that just can't sleep? It's such a big deal. It's what do they say? It's as dangerous to our body as smoking. It's real serious, So have you noticed a common thread? Slade says it's safety and security. Have you noticed a common thread?
Not necessarily. I just think that life is so busy and that our minds just don't have time to slow down, and we're attached to our money suckers,
right?
scrolling and all. It's like we can't just be with ourselves for the time that it takes for us to be able to fall asleep. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I feel like
I
I
don't
don't
know
know
either.
that answer that I just said.
I
I feel
like
like I
it.
need to think about that more, but
I think it's interesting. I'm curious about this sleep issue. It's pervasive. Sleep is pervasive. Sleep problems. Go ahead, James.
I have my solutions on what I tell people if they're not sleeping well.
Let's hear it.
Go work out for 3 hours in the day.
yeah, then you'll be tired
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. Tell me how you sleep then.
Right.
Like,
It's true.
go work out more, wear your body down.
Yeah.
If you're too much in your head, you have to exhaust the body. And
It's through current,
that's the quickest way to draw the current down to where you actually feel that you can rest. You won't rest well unless your body needs the rest.
That's interesting because, since I track everything, I can say there's a direct correlation on those days where I get something stupid like 20,000 steps or 17,000 steps, like a high volume step day. Or I just missed the 10,000. I got like 9,800 in. It's like, oh, it's pretty good. It's almost 10,000. I don't sleep as well. Like I don't. I have to overget my steps in or overspend it. It's true.
That's the real biohack.
Dude, I think
you have to get you have to get your body more tired.
I like that. Great. What a hack. What an easy hack. I love that. I love that.
It's just an honest approach. Like, we don't need more of anything. We just need to get more exercise and work the body a little bit more. And that's what yoga therapy does for people. It's just a little bit different. It gets their body to work differently to where it integrates the body back into itself. And you have to become more calm and think more and breathe more and take time. See, when you ask me the big things that you don't think people do yoga for, it's because people's time commitments. And I think that anybody can find 30 minutes in a day. You just have to make it a priority. You have to make it a priority.
Yeah.
And you have to write it down and you have to put it on your calendar. You have to schedule it. And I'm a firm believer that what gets scheduled gets done. And if people just followed that rule and they got themselves tired at night and did some yoga, and got their spines checked and adjusted if they needed it, dang, we'd have a whole different world.
Context.
People would be flexible and their heads would be on right.
I agree. And just so everyone knows what a rock star James is, how many times have you done 75 hard?
5 times.
5 times. And how many 14ers have you climbed?
14.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is not a guy that sits around. I mean, and like he said, when he commits to something, he's like, I'm just going to do that now. So,
But I want people to know that they can do it too.
They can. You know what, dude? Because you and me, and I can't speak for Courtney, but you and I are just two dudes from Iowa, and you're doing it. And you're inspiring me to do it because here's the thing. If I don't mean this in a mean way, but if you can do it, I can do it. I mean, it's like,
or competition.
Yeah.
Sibling rivalry here.
Yeah. Sibling rivalry. Right. But no, I think it's inspiring. I say sibling inspiring is really what it is.
Yeah. Find a buddy. Accountability is huge. That's another thing that yoga therapy, a yoga therapist can do. We serve as an accountability buddy. You voice what you're going to do and you do it, and then we follow up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love today's conversation. I know we have a lot of landings to happen with our conversations. I know Jason has one more thing he wants to say.
No, well, listen, I think that, we have a lot more that we could go into. And I'm just going to plant this seed for our next conversation. I want to dive into the science of yoga. And I know we don't have any time today to do this, but I want to dive into the science of yoga and what that means, because I think it's fascinating. So, James, I'll pitch it right back to you. And Courtney, I want to say thank you again for your time today.
Thank you. This has been really fun.
Just being real, you were a little nervous coming in today's episode. How do you feel now?
I feel great now.
Good.
Yeah.
And you'll come back, right? So that's the important
Well,
thing.
now I get the 3 weeks of I should have said that differently.
No.
Well, get
it's
a
just
notebook.
part of my
and
charm. It's fine. It's the anxiety.
Do what I do and never watch the show. Never ever watch the show.
No, get a pen and write the stuff down for us.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll earmark it for conversation topics next time if it was something that you'd like to improve on. But just wanted to let you know it's been an absolute transformative session with you. I think a lot of people are going to get some great takeaways. By the way, if you're watching now and you got this far, share your notes with us. Let us know some of your key learning moments there. And for our listeners also that are struggling with life transitions, feeling stuck in their bodies or dealing with trauma and grief, and that traditional medicine hasn't been able to address, Courtney's approach to yoga therapy offers real practical tools for healing from the inside out. I think that a lot of people just need some guidance. Like you said, they need some accountability. And this isn't just about stretching or meditation. This is about rewiring your nervous system, reclaiming your body's wisdom, and finding strength you didn't know you had. Remember, no one is coming to save you, but solutions like yoga therapy can prove you can save yourself. Courtney, thank you again. Lots of love and light over here. And to all of you Get Better Faster Nation people, thanks for listening and your continued support. And I know you've heard me say it time after time, the best way to show your support, share the show. Share this episode with somebody who needs it, who needs Courtney's message, who needs Jason's and I's hijinks and tomfoolery. And don't forget to subscribe and never miss another episode and get all of the behind the scenes action that's coming your way. We've got more incredible guests lined up who are going to blow your mind with real solutions for reclaiming your health, your happiness, and your life. Until next time, keep questioning everything and keep getting better faster. Courtney, thanks for being our guest today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Courtney.
Fun.
Thanks, James. See everybody. Love y'all.
All right. Bye for now.